Hmm.
Okay, perfect. So, hi Pooja. First of all, lovely evening and great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for inviting me to this particular podcast. I'm very excited, and let's see what it turns out to be.
Perfect. And I hope I'm not making you skip your work and be here.
No, 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 that's fine. I think we have been waiting for this podcast for a very, very long time now. I think
Right.
it gets postponed from last week to this week, and then so on. So I thought, let me give it for in one shot this time.
Perfect, perfect. Lovely to have you. And yeah, so to start with, right, I'm sure, your journey had been really incredible and you have spoken with professionals, you have spoken with academicians, you have, been in the industry environment for so long. Would love to have a bit intro about you in terms of, how it's all started, how had the journey been like. So let's start with a bit about you, Pooja.
So I started my career in 2001 after I finished my graduation, and I only simply did BA pass, and there was no other qualifications. I was not very fond of studying at the same time. I was like, I used to run away from studies, like, no, 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 it's okay, I don't want to study. But then there was a turning point in a life when I got an opportunity to fly to UK, and where I started observing people, and it was an opportunity to know people well, to understand them well, and barely I could speak English also. So I got hired. My first company was when I got hired by a campus place in a campus placement in UK. I got placed to a campus where I was studying, and this company was Covenco Solutions. It was an IT company, and I worked for this company for 11 and a half years almost.
Wow.
Yeah, and in India and UK both.
Okay.
So from there, I got to know about human resource because I got trained from recruitment, then to onboarding, then slowly and steadily into employee development, restructuring performance incentives, slowly and steadily understanding, the attendance cycle and all that human resource gamut, you can say, licensing, compliances, because obviously the UK laws are quite different. So my
So,
experience also had a lot many opportunities where I traveled across the world. I've traveled to US, Canada,
mhm,
I've
mhm.
traveled to Europe, but it was just a part of my job to understand people because we had clients all over Europe. So from there onwards, I started understanding what HR is all about, human resources all about. Slowly and steadily, it became like very, very interesting to know people, to talk to people, uh, understanding their body language, understanding their temperaments, their behavior. So that was a turning point for me, that
Wow.
company,
So
right?
I think you saying you did not study and now you are at such an amazing position.
Oh yes.
We should not take that example to the students, is it?
It's not about an example. It's just that from there on, when I came back to India in 2010, I did my master's from Amity University and I got CGPA of 7.3.
Okay.
Then I did my second master's from Indian Society of Human Resource and Development, I think. I can't even remember or recall the name. And I scored 7.5 as a major CGPA. And I was like, yeah, I can study. Study became very, very important for me. So I started learning instead of mugging up stuff. Then I did then my mother is from was from income tax background, so she taught me more about taxation. She used to talk a lot about tax and law and all that. So I suddenly became very interested in law. So I did
Wow.
my uh, LLB. That was my second graduation from CCS Merit.
Okay. So how
And
many
then I
degrees have you
thought
got?
I am double bachelor's and triple master's.
Wow. And someone who said, I didn't like studying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody is, if they come to me and say, I mean, 20 years ago, if they would have asked me, what about studies, or like, blah 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 blah, nothing like that. But now, yeah, I think what position I've got today and what am I doing is all because of the knowledge that I've gained. Because I learned payroll, I learned HR compliances, I learned the law part because my 40 was into corporate law. It made me so strong, and I understood the concept well. I don't know, do not know till today the name of the authors of
Wow.
any book that you ask me. I don't know, but I know the concept well.
Hmm. Amazing. So that
Even
brings me.
even my experience actually made me work in a family court and high court under a lawyer, where I actually honed my expertise in handling civil and corporate law paperwork.
Wow.
So it was like I am the one who's doing it, and I couldn't believe myself sometimes.
So that brings me to the another aspect. A lot of freshers and college students would be listening to this, okay? And a lot of time when we are studying, we believe, okay, study is only this much. After
Hmm.
that, there would be a different world, a fancy world.
Hmm.
What would you like to comment on that?
To be honest, trust me, if people just do not do studies, but they just understand the concept well,
Hmm.
I have never seen books in my life. The only
Okay.
thing I've seen is you remember that reference books that used to come for examination. So I used to
Yep.
pick up those reference books, and only I used to take the content. I used to read the content. Okay, this is the content of the examination, and this is what it's gonna be like. So let me understand it with examples. So my mother used to sit down with me. I used to open the internet, and she used to tell me, okay, read a story about this particular content,
Hmm.
and now it's in the mind.
Wow. Wow.
So mugging up is not an answer to any study.
Hmm.
Right now, people are racing with getting good marks because this is so-called society taboo says you have to get 90% to get admission into this, you have to get this. Instead, if you understand the concept well,
Hmm.
trust me, you can actually master that subject more than what the book writer says to you.
Wow. So now
So
that
that
makes
is
me
the
come.
concept.
That makes me come to the next question, right? Because you have been part of hiring and campus recruitment, and you
Hmm.
have really well explained about how should people learn. What are the
Hmm.
expectations of a company when they go for hiring freshers? In different roles, are they same? Are they different in different? Means technically yes, but in
Yes,
general, if you would have to say.
good question. But to be honest, whatever I say and whatever other people say, I think it depends upon company to company. The company will come back and say, oh, I need this as mandatory. I need
Mhm,
this as very important. But no,
mhm,
they should look at individual experiences when they're talking to people, and they should not judge them that they can't speak well or they cannot express well, because in today's universities and colleges and schools, they end up taking too much donations, hefty amounts of money spent on education by parents. By
okay.
end of the
Yes.
day,
Correct.
education, when it comes to education, it's gonna be nil. Because if you ask a topper what is the meaning of this concept, they'll say, oh, excuse me, I just mugged up. Let me see my book. But there are certain people who might not just mug up, who just say, okay, I know the concept well because I did not get to see a book. So that's a difference that a company should, you know, see before hiring people.
So how does that get reflected in the hiring process? Because of course, as you said, a company might be looking at this. So when a company frames a hiring process for a fresher, how does that get framed? What are the things that are most looked at?
That is something a recruiter should be trained at. The
Mm-hmm,
recruiter should be given a checklist. Nowadays
mm-hmm,
there is a checklist. Okay, I want this, I want this, these technical trainings, these this. But do you
mm-hmm,
realistically think a fresher who's
mm-hmm,
coming out of a college will have those qualifications?
mm-hmm,
Or is an expectation that we'll hire somebody from IIMs, IITs, or maybe somebody like Narsi Monji, or some, renowned institutions like
mm-hmm,
Jamshedpur, Accelerate Jamshedpur. Instead, why not hire somebody from a college which is not much renowned, but experience, the way they talk, the way they come across, making you understand the concept. That is what recruiters needs to work on. But that's
Mm-hmm.
like talking and talking, you know. It's not practical nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So what recruiters do is they make a checklist. Okay, I wanted to understand this. I wanted to understand. Oh, they are campus hired. Let's take them. Or
Mm-hmm.
else they can actually do something like a test, like psychometric tests are there. We can
Mm-hmm.
do that also.
So when a fresher is being hired, as you said, HR or the person who is going to recruit get a checklist, correct? What is in that checklist?
Say for example, okay, for a fresher, when we are looking straight away from a campus recruitment, the checklist
Mm-hmm.
should contain something like uh, the concept. Say, for example, we're hiring for marketing, or we're hiring
Mm-hmm.
for HR, or we're hiring for a particular department like finance.
Mm-hmm.
What is the subject that they have worked in? What have they got any practical scenario? Because everybody knows if a person is coming out of a master's, they will do some projects. How was
Right.
the project? What project have they done?
Mm-hmm.
Were they successful in that project? What did they learn from that particular project?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a person is confident enough to answer your question, they will answer in such a manner that you'll be like, oh, nice, I can actually hire this person. Or how do you see yourself in few years from now? And
Mm-hmm.
where do you stay? I mean, are you comfortable? These are very normal ones, but these are small checklists that has to be there to understand a person, that whether that person is comfortable coming to the office. Is it
Mm-hmm.
remote working? Nowadays remote working is so famous for freshers, but
Correct.
companies have now gone back to old school thought. I'm thinking, okay, let's go work from office. Let's not give any remote working to people, and then people run away from the company because they're now used to the remote working.
True. True.
So these are the things that we need to check with people as well, because if you try to put somebody into a job and tomorrow you don't take care of that as a as a fresher specifically, because they don't know anything about an organization. They're
True.
just getting, oh, I got hired by a brand. Again, a taboo in the
Correct.
social society. So they will be happy and then they'll switch jobs too easily.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, prior to hiring, I
Mm-hmm.
believe that there should be a small training given to, or maybe small understanding given to them, that this is the job is all about. We are hiring you as freshers, because nowadays there is also another thing that companies are doing, because they want to show the government of India that they've been hiring freshers and they're giving chance to new people who are coming from out of the college fresh. And
Mm-hmm.
that is again becoming like, okay, we have to do it. It's a social status on the name of the company that we do give opportunity in the name of diversity.
Okay. How does that impact the quality of work at a company when, or means, in terms of because you've hired people you are not supposed to hire? Does that change things or is it good or is it
It does.
bad? Okay.
See, it again depends. It's not about a quality of people. It is about the quality of the work that you've been assigned. If I, as
Mm-hmm.
a person, will be hired by an organization which where my work does not matches with what I have understood in my college,
Mm-hmm.
I will feel little uncomfortable. I'll be like, okay, let's try this for 6 months, then start
Mm-hmm.
hopping jobs. And that's what you see in
Is
CVs
it
of
common?
the freshers. It is little common. Yes.
Okay.
Why not? When we are freshers, we would like to get more money rather than we actually understand work, because nowadays people, the younger generation that's coming, they will not
Mm-hmm.
look at work. They will look at what is coming for me.
I get it.
That
So
affects.
true. True. So when a fresher comes from a college, right? Usually, as you said, in college people study to pass the exams. Okay.
Hmm,
And in masters, you still get projects. In undergrads, you get very less projects, right? Or students
hmm.
don't even do things. So how difficult it is for a company to hire fresher, train fresher? Like, how does the dynamic work over here in this space?
What exactly you mean?
So I mean that is there a huge workforce that is put in to train the freshers, make them ready for industry? How freshers, how unlinked are freshers with this space? They don't know much, they don't know anything, and then a company has to put a lot of resources to train in, and then they get absorbed. And why does company put so much effort? So I want to understand from you
I will.
how does
I
this space
believe.
looks like? Mm.
I believe the company will put a lot of efforts only when they feel that this person is going to survive in the organization for a longer time. But how
Mhm.
do they judge that is only because they feel, oh, I have spent a lot much, time and effort to go to the college and hire a fresher, and this fresher is going to survive with us for some time. Or on the contrary, the company is thinking, as I told you before, that there is a you can say an activity that company has to show that they are hiring some freshers to absorb,
Correct. Correct.
because it's important. Tomorrow, if there is an audit, they will ask how many freshers have been given a chance,
Mhm.
right? Apart
Got it.
from the experienced people, so there is a quota that has been assigned to people who are freshers because they have to be
Mhm.
given a chance to work in the
Hmm.
organization. So that is also there in the mindsets of human resource.
So how does the journey work? Say I get got hired as a fresher in the company, right?
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
what are the expectations from me? Should I be working here 5, 10 years? Should I go for something else? Like, and
It
how
depends
do?
upon the situation. It
Mhm.
depends on the situation. So if you hire me as a fresher today and you
Mhm.
treat me well, you're giving me the benefits. Obviously, you'll not give me every benefit because I'm a fresher. You will say, okay, he's an intern.
Mhm.
And you get certain stipend. Some companies don't even provide stipend. They hire freshers for free. Okay, you learn, you get a certificate. Now you move on to a next organization,
Mhm.
that your time period is only 3 months, or your time period is only 6 months, or only 9 months, and after that you will have to move on. That is where companies are not putting too much effort, but they try to take out too much, because you know how private companies work. Private companies try to take out too much from you, but obviously don't give you anything. Some companies are happy to give you something like 3,000 stipend, or a 6,000 stipend, to a 9,000 stipend, or some MNCs will give you something like very good,
Mhm. Is this
also maybe up to
changing over
15,000.
time? Is this changing over time, or is it the same? Like 5, 10 years back,
it's
also same?
it's the same old story going on from many years, which can never change unless and until we change the mindsets of people.
Got it. Got it. Now, so how a culture of a company? So I am a fresher, or I am not a fresher, but came from a lateral hire, right? What it feels like to come into a new organization and settle in, like how a company is like. For a fresher, first of all, like I've come from an education background. I don't even know what work is. Okay. Many of them have not worked as intern, or they're joining as an intern for the first time. What is it like? What a company culture is like? What is expected, that okay,
See,
this is how I should be.
culture of an organization is built not by anybody else than people and the management together.
Mm-hmm.
Management will set out the rules, the disciplines that people they expect people to follow. But end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, if an organization starts doing micromanagement, people will start feeling suffocated.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a lot much like, oh, he's always on top of my head 24/7. I don't know what I have to do, but he or she keeps telling me what to do. That is a situation where people start feeling, I want to switch. I'm not happy.
True.
And that
True.
feeling actually builds the culture, because if you're doing a lot much micromanagement with your own people and
Mm-hmm.
not giving space to them, or not giving a chance to them to grow, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that at least give them work
Mm-hmm.
and let them prove themselves in their work. And specifically, when a fresher
Mm-hmm.
comes to an organization, they should be treated not as similar to a person who's experienced, because then they don't know anything. It's their first chance to be in a corporate. Let them
Correct.
grow the way you can make them grow.
Interesting.
That's where the
Interesting.
that's a problem. That's where the culture actually, and then they'll go out and say, oh, I got a chance to work as an intern in this company, and I wasn't happy because I wasn't treated well.
True.
And you get to
True.
see lot many of on Glasgow, Ambition Box. These are the comments that comes from people anonymously.
Very true. And that sets up the reputation of the company in some ways. Then.
Exactly. That actually hurts the reputation of and the goodwill of the organization. And what they try to do is they try to change the image by saying, okay, let five people of my company write a good image about us, covering that
Correct.
up. You know,
Correct.
but that
Correct.
gives a very negative impression to a fresher.
True. True. Now, when it comes to growing in an organization, okay. So, how does that happen? Like, how can I join a company and then keep on growing in that organization from a fresher to a senior to a manager? How does, what can keep me growing in a organization?
See, what keeps you growing is the performance. If you're performing well and your
Mhm.
manager approves that performance, saying, oh, just a simple pat on a back, okay,
Mhm.
also will help an employee to grow. If you were just passing by it, through your team, you're a manager, and you saw an employee in a sad mood, and if you sit with them and just say, what happened? Or maybe in
Mhm.
Hindi, you say, kya hua? Batao.
Correct.
That is more than enough for an employee to understand that a manager or a manager is not a manager, is a leader,
Nice. So
right?
that is from a management side. From my side, what should I do to
For
keep
the same
growing
fresher. Yeah,
for the
same
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 person?
thing. Same thing. If you will be, you as a fresher cannot be leading the organization or leading
Mhm.
a team. You will be
Mhm.
under somebody, and when you get in within a team, there will be some people who are experienced. There will be some people who will, like you will be freshers. That mixed bunch of people, how are being treated by a person who's handling that team, makes the employee grow.
So
Oh, I'm
now
not
that.
treated differently. I'm not given a different treatment because I'm a fresher. If a manager is walking, walking with the team to some area, or maybe sitting in a lunch, they should not like, oh, she's an experienced person, I can talk to her differently, but if she's a fresher, maybe she'll not. That mindset has to change from the management point of view,
Perfect.
because a
So.
fresher will run away, because they have no idea, right?
Mhm. True. Now, it is a very classic example of your own where you grew as you kept going in the work environment, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that requires maybe exploring new job and lateral shifting and all that. So,
Hmm.
how does a career growth, continuous career growth happen? What once I am in the industry for 5 years, 10 years, okay, how do I still keep growing? What should I do to be better?
See, in an organization, what is more important when you really wanted to grow after you have settled in the first year of first year? I'll give you a live example. In one of my organizations in Delhi, where I was
Mhm.
settled, okay, I worked for 4 years in that company, but
Mhm.
my boss was used to shout on the tip of his voice. He used to shout in his room on somebody that this work is not done in the way
Mhm.
he wanted, and we used to hear that from outside. And that person who used to get shouted at used to walk out of the room, and trust me, everybody used to look at him. And that was like not a fresher, a 1 year experience guy. So that is where the morale of all the other employees goes down. That if the person can get shouted at, they can also be a part of that. Just to avoid that, I think it's not up to a fresher. It is up to the managers, the people who are managing. So if I'm working on the individual contribution role, I'm sure I'm reporting to somebody, maybe the CEO, CEOs, or maybe a senior manager, anywhere. I really need to work with my manager hand in hand, sit down with them and explain that I felt offended. I'll give you a live example, another one. I was
Mhm.
in a training today, okay? And what happened? The training was stopped in the middle of an hour, after an hour. It was a 2 hours training. Now, what happened? Because there was a productive time that the senior management of that particular team felt that they're not doing productive hours. They're into training, and training is not considered very important, right? Then after the training's completed, maybe with the leftover people, I walked up to my manager, and trust me, the way my manager treated the other one in front of me was made me felt I'm a part of this company, because he said it was very demeaning to me, because I took out a lot of efforts to get the content in place, to get the people in place, to get the pre-evaluations in place. Now that kind of behavior which my manager gave me was really made me happy. See,
Nice.
so that is where I am growing,
But then
because
also
I'm
you had put that of effort, right? We see that, okay, there's some people who put that effort and they keep growing. but there are some people who are kicked out of organizations as well, right? So what is that difference wherein one person grows in an organization whereas one person is asked to go? Like
See,
what?
this is purely situational. If I really wanted to grow in an organization, I will have to speak up. I have to voice out my concern. I
Mm-hmm,
can't be quiet sitting there are few kinds of people.
mm-hmm,
Somebody will be like, I don't want to speak. I want to take the criticism to my heart on a personal level, and I want to walk out.
mm-hmm,
Okay. Then there are certain people who really wanted to talk and raise the concern and say, look, this is not something I like. I wanted to talk about it. So people who speak about it will get heard only if their concern is going to the right channel. It's not only so
mm-hmm,
depends upon the organization, it also depends on the people who are facing that challenge. And that
correct.
where is freshers gets they are very scared. Oh, if I say ma'am, if I say sir, what will happen to me? They'll take me off the job. No, this is where the training comes in place, because when you're hiring a fresher, you need to make them secure and safe in an environment that, okay,
Mm-hmm,
you're safe, you can come up to me, you can talk to me when you want. So there,
mm-hmm.
it's a two-way communication channel. It cannot be one side or just on a company's point of view. It has to be from the uh, from the person who get hired and face a challenge.
Interesting. So when it comes to hiring someone, right, how is the process different for hiring someone senior versus hiring someone fresher? How are things different?
Sorry, I can you repeat that question? I'm sorry, I got
What's the
distracted.
difference between hiring a fresher versus hiring a senior person?
See, it's only I don't think so. There's a difference. It's just that how people are treated. So it's again, it's a two-way channel. If I'm
Mm-hmm,
a fresher, I get
mm-hmm,
hired by an organization, and I
mm-hmm,
really have the idea about raising my concern, but not about the product that I'm gonna sell, or maybe I'm gonna work on the areas in the areas that I'm gonna work on. That's okay. But I know how to speak for myself, how to stand for myself. It's one
mm-hmm,
way. The
mm-hmm,
second way of looking is that if I'm experienced, I also know my work, I
mm-hmm,
also know how to stand for me, and I can manage both. That's where people will look at me.
mm-hmm.
You understand my point?
Got it.
So it's not up to the entire company that how you get treated as a fresher or an experienced. It's up
Mm-hmm,
to me also. If I am like maybe a very shy person, I can't talk much,
mm-hmm,
and I'll just sit at my desk. People will laugh at me. People will make fun of me. They will just make faces, and I have to bear it. How much I can take it up is up to me. I might bear it for a year. I might bear it for 2 years, and then I give up. Oh, my patience gone. Now I'm walking off.
mm-hmm,
So it's purely individual's choices, because that choice is something that an individual can make. Maybe it's a fresher or an experience. Nobody can make that choice. Today, I
mm-hmm,
had the energy to go walk up to my manager and say, "Look, the training was stopped in between,"
mm-hmm.
and he actually took an action in front of me, which made me felt I belonged to him. He's a leader for me. You understand
Nice.
my point?
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's both your work and the manager's work, whoever is at whatever role, to work as a team. Sometimes you have
Correct.
to tell for them to act, because if you don't even tell, how would they know? And
Correct.
they have to act so that you can come back and talk again, because you saw
Correct.
that they act. So nice.
Correct.
So when it comes to, expectation, when you are hiring someone, right? As an organization, everyone has an expectation from that person who is getting hired, correct?
Hmm.
How is it evaluated, and how does it get mapped whether this person is meeting those expectations or this person is not meeting those expectations? How does
It
that
all
system work?
See, every company has a performance appraisal or a
Mm-hmm,
performance measurement system, so which is called PMS, performance management system. So, wherein either obviously, if they want to put a fresher in the limelight, okay, their performance will also be measured within maybe 6 months or a year's time. That
mm-hmm,
is something where they will provide them ratings like they provide other people, experienced people or existing employees. So
mm-hmm,
every company has a system where they do measure the performance of their employees, making sure that this person, something called KPI. this is very
Mhm.
important and interesting thing that to talk about. There is
Mhm.
something called key responsibility area, that say for
Mhm.
example, if I'm in HR, I have a responsibility of doing trainings, I have the responsibility of taking attendance daily, and I have the responsibility of ensuring people are coming to the training. Similarly, anybody get hired for another role, maybe marketing, they're doing the graphic designings on a proper, in a proper way, or whatever their KR is, the key responsibility area, or the
Mhm.
key performance indicators. What is the indication that their performance is coming as per the expectation or the job description,
Who
based on
defines
which
this? Who defines
the
key performance?
the management and the human resource.
Got it.
Because because the individual manager who's hiring people for their sales department will define these are the number of sales that people need to complete in a month. That's a target. So that's called
Mhm.
the key performance indicator. That
Mhm.
indicator says that I, as a person joining this organization, has the target of fulfilling 10 sales a month. Now,
Mhm.
for that, what resources do you want me to give?
Mhm.
That's where a manager comes in place and says, okay, let me give you help and support, and you give me work,
Mhm.
basis on which I'm going to pay you.
Got it. Got it. So when someone is being hired, this KPI is already a consideration in the interview process. Is it that this person would have to meet these kind of performance indexes? That's why the interview has to be covering these certain aspects to check whether
I
the person can do.
don't think so. It's not about the
Okay.
KPIs. It is about the job role or the job description. Which, if you go on Naukri,
Mm,
Monster, or Indeed.com, you see a small job description that the person getting hired for this role. Now that
mhm,
is something gets converted into a KPI
mm,
measurement, because that
mhm,
is just a normal statement saying that the person has to complete sales target. Now, how much is
mhm,
the sales target is your performance indicator.
mhm.
So,
Got it.
and any employee gets hired based on the job description, which
Mhm,
is there in place, and that is a part of, when a company is set up, they have
mhm,
to know how many people they will be hiring, and
mhm,
once they are accustomed that they have to hire 50 people in sales, two in marketing, two in HR, then what will be their job role? Once that job role is defined, then when the person is hired, after that, post that, then when the person is there in place in the office, then they say, okay, this is your performance indicators against which your performance will be measured in 6 months or 1 year.
Got it. Got it. This is really insightful. Now, if we come to this aspect of, when people take interviews, a lot of people come back and say, I don't know what the interview process is based on. Interview process sounds abrupt, or I didn't understand why did they ask me this. Okay. So why for the same role, different company would have different process, especially for the HR round. Okay. What makes, say for example, I am going into a software development role in a company A versus company B. There would be certain things that would be common, but there would be certain things that would be different.
Yeah,
What,
it is all
why is
client
that different?
requirement. It is
Mm-hmm.
all client requirement and the work they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Infosys will have a different kind of a product
Mm-hmm.
in case if they have lot many different clients. Like for example, some, like our company has a different client role.
Mm-hmm.
Other companies will have different client roles. They have a different requirement. Somebody will require a Java developer, and the other Infosys might require a Java developer, but with XYZ in addition.
Mm-hmm.
My company will require only a Java developer, but with not XYZ
Mm-hmm.
education. So that depends on company to company how they are dealing with their clients
And
and what is the client requirement.
does the company's culture also get reflected in the interview questions which a company
I
asks
don't
a
think so.
person?
I've never seen that. I've never seen
Mhm,
that. Sometimes interviewers are good and they might ask what kind of culture that you expect from us. Does
mhm.
it like follow a lot of discipline for, and people also ask nowadays. So I've seen many people are asking questions to us and we get surprised. Do they know that much?
Okay, what are
What's
those
your company
questions?
culture? what
Yeah.
what how will we get paid? When will we get paid? Is the company giving this kind of benefits, these kind of facilities? And I feel like when we were about to get into an organization, we did not even know what to ask. Today's
Is it
generation
a good thing they
isn't.
are asking?
It is a good thing. They
Hmm.
should know. But too much of pressurizing for an answer can actually lead to a
Or
disaster for
counter,
them also.
because
It
you
yeah,
feel
it
that,
can be
okay,
counterfire. Yeah.
yeah,
Because extreme of everything is bad. You ask a question and the person say, sometimes HR says, okay, these are the policies of the organization and we can't disclose internal.
got it.
And it is true because
Hmm.
nowadays compliance is very very strict.
Hmm.
So sometimes people are not allowed, especially the HR interviewers are not allowed to disclose internal policies of the company. They can explain in general, but
Hmm.
not in the detail. And that's true. That's not
Got
wrong.
it. True, true. So I think I still feel like I have a lot of things to ask, but I think we are coming at the end of the rope here. I would love to understand some things you would want to leave some thoughts to people that, okay, if you have to keep growing in a career, be like this or do like this. What would you be suggesting?
I would only say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Never do mugging up in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Live your, I am a live example of this, to be honest. I have never seen an author of the book, but I know the concept. So always make your life a story.
Mm-hmm.
If you love watching movies, if you love reading stories, just love the concept. If you love the concept, trust me, I have only reached to a senior position today just because of my knowledge. If
Wow.
you have knowledge, people will look up to you. Oh, she can answer my question, but the person sitting at the chair cannot answer. So people
Amazing.
will come to you yourself if you actually run after theory, which is or chat GPTs or AIs. That's only to help you during your work. That's not going to help you learn. Learn the practicality from basic, move to advanced level from there. Trust me, you will get a better position.
Wow. I think that sums up how you should be organizing yourself to
Exactly.
success.
Exactly.
And great talking to you, Pooja. Thanks a lot for showing up. And yeah, it was fun. And I hope a lot of people will learn a lot of things from that.
Sure. Of course. I'll see you in the next podcast. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
think we will need one more. So,
Okay.
perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Umang, for
Thanks,
giving me
Pooja.
this opportunity. Thanks.
It was a
Bye.
pleasure. Take care. Bye.